you've got to put yourself out there and fish these big matches and big competitions, and you'll learn so much in a quick space of time. Not giving up, constantly changing rigs and lines and feeding, and just being so eager and dedicated, you know, get your prep done, all that sort of attitude. That's how you can compete against these big boys, you could call it, like our very own Jamie Hughes, just to name a few. Good morning and welcome to Hayfield Lakes near Doncaster. You're joined by myself, Brad Lucas, and this venue's actually been very nice to me earlier this year. I actually managed to qualify for the Maver Matches final, just off Adams Lake, just behind me there. And we're on Island Lake today to come back and run you through tactics that just absolutely annihilate big carp venues like this throughout the summer months. So for spin round, we'll get round and we'll get fishing and we'll talk through some key points. So we're going to start this session by starting on the short pole with hard pellets. But just before we start, we're just going to talk about how I actually got into fishing. So my fishing actually started sea fishing off a pier, and with my dad and up north. And when we come, it was only about 5 years ago when I really started to get into commercial fishing. Probably fished my first match probably only 4 years ago. So in such a small space of time, I've managed to get to where I am fishing against the UK's best, just like our very own Jamie Hughes, week in, week out. And I feel like the reason why is because you've got to put yourself out there and fish these big matches and big competitions, and you'll learn so much in a quick space of time. You know, if you want to learn the most, I feel like club matches are brilliant to getting into it, but as soon as you feel confident about your fishing, I just got straight out there into open matches. There's many festivals, many big matches, qualifiers just like this year, which luckily enough I've managed to qualify for a few finals for, and that's all because of having the confidence to go out there and fish against such great anglers week in, week out. Right then, so just as we mentioned, we're going to start on the short pole with hard pellets. Now this is a deadly way to start a match. Any even F1 venues, but mainly big carp venues, is absolutely brilliant way to start because you're not feeding lots of bait. It's very negative, but also you're selective of the bigger fish and things like that, and you can watch every other match angler and how they start and get a feel for the match and how it's going to be without having to feed loads of bait, and you're just causing yourself a bit of problems if you start feeding loads of bait on loads of lines. So we'll start fishing now. We're just going to start throwing a few hard pellets and then we'll drop in. Hopefully, won't take long to get a quick bite. Right then, so just going to start with a cad pot. We've just got 5 or 6 more pellets in there, and we've just got 6 more in the band. Now, plumbing up wise, it's a bit weird here on Island Lake. It's pretty much a gradual slope, but it's a rock hard bottom. So you just want to find a little bit of flat spot, but I'm also fishing on the slopes. That's why I don't want to feed loads of bait. Just lay your rig and flick your rig past, go back to where your marker is, have a far bank marker and a marker on your pole where I'm fishing, rattle them in, a little bit from a height, you want to make a little bit of noise, come back to where your marker is on your pole, lift your rig, make sure everything settles out, just drop it where you want to fish, drop them back shot, there you go. You could not have asked for a quicker bite than that. Oh, just lost that one. That was a proper bite as well there. It literally was our first chuck that. As you can see, that was a proper bite. I feel like it was one of them, there's lots of small fish in here, lots of small crassios, lots of stocky carp. I'm not going to feed again that time just because that was so quick. It's definitely a small fish that one, probably just bumped it. You would not believe that was genuinely my first chuck. So again, let that rig settle. Once that float starts to straighten up, just drop it where you're fishing. That float sat perfectly there. And the reason why I use a marker on my pole is just because we are fishing on a slope. You literally need to be really precise. You can see then it's literally just dropped down that slope, that touch. I don't mind because I know it's tight. I might just lift that and just lift it just a little bit up that slope. Drop it again there, let that back shot settle. We're lucky there's not much wind today, but if there was, back shot's really key to keeping your rig still. Hopefully, get another quick bite. So, into another fish now. Now, it does feel like one of them small ones. I'm just going to throw a few pellets over the top once you hook that fish then. Definitely one of them smaller fish. but not a bad start. Now, it might just be a case of either feeding bigger pellets or more pellets to try and draw some bigger fish in. Put that one back. Just repeat the process and see if we can catch carp without having to change just yet. Because again, in match situation would be very early on yet, so you don't mind just getting bites in general and watching what everyone else is doing. So just repeat that. Just 5-6 mils in there again. Get to your marker, lay your rig in, let everything settle out. Because with carp fishing, you're not looking to get bites on the drop and things like that. It's quite a positive rig. And feed your bait. Come back, re-lift your rig. And just drop it over there. Sitting wonderful again there. And another liner there straight away. I feel like the reason why you throw pellets once you hook one just keeps fish in the peg, or draws fish back in if you did spook them when you hooked a fish. Line straight away, I don't think it's going to take us too long to get a bite. I have a feeling just lots of small fish there at the moment. That one? Yeah, just another small fish there. But again, throw them pellets. A bit more, try and draw some fish in. Just going to net that. Roach that time. Hopefully them pellets that you throw in, hopefully drawing fish in all the time. Just going to put an 8mm on the hook, that is. And again, feed for a pot. Just because fish on a stealth, if you can avoid it, just throwing pellets could cause, if bigger fish did come in, it could cause a lot of foul hookers because you're not fishing on an even bottom, you're fishing down the shelf. So you want bait to be where you're fishing or further down the shelf so fish aren't coming up closer to me, past me float. And in that, you're causing foul hookers. So when you do throw, try and throw it on your float or just past. Got to make sure that float stays straight. Just a little bite there on the drop. There's loads of them small fish. Now another thing that could work, that does feel a better fish there. Definitely a better fish, that one. I was just about to say what could work is feeding 8mm pellets instead, but let's throw some pellets there, just like that. And last time when I threw more last time, I feel like that could have drawn the fish in. So it might be a case of throwing even twice when you hook a fish. Going well behaved. Looks like it. Oh, it's missed it then. Poor netting. I'm blaming the light conditions, I can't quite see. But a lovely fish to start. And quite quick still. Loads of signs, loads of fish there. And if this wasn't match conditions, you're already into fish straight away. Is it far hooked? I don't think it is. Just keeps getting wrapped around himself. But yeah, you can keep an eye on what everyone else is doing. I've not really fed any bait anywhere else in my peg, have I? So it's a great way to start. It's negative. Even if I fed lots of bait on that shoreline, it's still a negative way to start. You've got your whole peg to go on to next. Come in. Definitely mucked up not getting him straight away, didn't I? Really thinking he was well behaved. Could be a bit bigger than I thought. Elastic wise, you've just got a 16 to 18 slick. Just because it's quite a deep rig. There we go. Just because it's quite a deep rig, you want to fish a bit stronger than usual. It's a lovely carp, 4 or 5 pound start. Just going to slip that one back, a lovely start. And again, just repeat that process. But it was an 8mm pellet, so I feel like we got them signs, but we didn't catch a small fish that time. So whether they went for it and tried it, they just can't quite fit it in the mouths, most of them. I feel like they're fishing an 8mm, you're more selective. When you're fishing a venue like this one where you are targeting them bigger carp, you don't want to be catching them stockies. not on a day where you fish for well in excess of £100 in the matches. So drop that bait in. Hopefully that bait I threw once I hooked that fish has kept fishing the peg, so that just re-centers them almost onto almost a pile of bait. And the good thing is with hard pellets and bigger fish, just going to reel if that right, is that you tap them in over obviously a small area, but they do spread out a little bit, so you don't got loads of fish coming in over a couple of inches squared like you would if you were setting a trap, feeding micros or things like that. So very rarely foul up fish, dot your float correctly and wait for a proper bite. Like then, is that a small fish? Loads of bites nevertheless. Could just be a bigger of the stockies, but throw again. I'm going to throw twice this time. I'm trying to draw some fish in because I do feel like it's good. And that's the reason why it's good to have a marker, because once your obviously pole's not there, you can throw. It's definitely a smaller fish, but you don't mind catching them as long as you catch them quick and there's big carp coming in the peg. Ooh, I got it. Loads of these small ones. Not very big at all, but I'm sure once them big fish come in, they'll bully them out. Right, so just gone straight back in there, and it really is getting good now. So just going to stick at this now, try and build the early weight just like you would in a match. And we're going to start to look to start feeding the next line, which I'm pretty sure we're going to have a chuck on the waggler because lots of fish cruising about. Is he well behaved? Looks like it. But yeah, great start now. And I feel like definitely drawing them fish in is throwing them pellets, making a bit of noise. A little bit of a smaller one, but still you can see there's lots of bites to get. And I feel like the reason these fish are coming in because I'm making that noise. So we'll get this one in and then carry it on and start pinging a few pellets on that waggler line. So, I've had a great start short on hard pellets there. Worked a few things out, 8mm is the best on the hook, things like that. But what we're going to talk about is the actual rig. Now, it's quite deep here on Island Lakes, probably 6.5, probably 7 foot deep there on like a 4 or 5 metres. Float wise, we've just got the Power Slim in the 0.75 gram of the float. Got 2 number 8 back shot there. Main line is 0.20 down to an 0.18. And we've just got a bulk and 2 droppers. Really simple, but really positive. Strong line, but balanced tackle. Slick, 16 to 18 elastic. Just because you've got such a deep rig, you want to, when these poke up, they can like pop up quite far out on a deep rig. So you want to fish, normally I'd fish 14 to 16 in the yellow, but because it is a bit deeper and you can catch some bigger fish, or you're catching lots of smaller carp and they fight quite hard, you want to fish something that just pops them up that bit quicker. You don't want to be taking time because it can be good just like it was. So that's why I fish a little bit heavier elastic on a deeper rig. But shotting pattern wise, we've just got a bulk and 2, like I said. We've got 7 number 8s there and 2 number 9 droppers. That sits it perfect. I did fish number 10 when it was flat calm, but now that wind's picked up, I've just taken that number 10 off just below the bulk and it just sits a bit better. And that's the rig. Now, we've had a great start there. Match conditions, that would be good, but I don't feel like it would last that long. So just started feeding the waggler line now, and we're going to go on that and see how good that will be. Right, so now we've come off that short pole, and in all honesty, it was getting good. And in a match condition, I'd happily just stay on that until it starts to fizzle out. And it's a line that you keep feeding all match because it can come really good late on. But because we're here to show you a few things, something that's absolutely devastating on bigger open water carp lakes, I guess you could say, like Island Lake and the Adams behind us, is waggler fishing. Now, of course, pole shallow and mugging, things like that, which today would kind of suit, it would be good, just as much as a waggler, but I feel like now we can fish a waggler at such a venue, we're going to try and talk about it. It's a venue, it's a tactic that probably doesn't get used as much. You know, pole shallow seems to dominate these sort of venues, but waggler fishing, it really can pick off bigger fish, and it can be a really good method. So we're going to talk about that. We just started feeding a few 8mm pellets, just pinging them out. The reason why I choose 8 is you can get a bit of a distance, a bit of a top wind today. It doesn't affect us where we're fishing, but you can still feel it coming over your shoulder. So fish 8 so you can fire them that bit further, a bit more accurate, and you can feed less bait. Now, if I was fishing for smaller fish, I probably would feed 6s and things like that, maybe some F1s or smaller carp, but because we're hopefully going to be targeting some bigger fish. Now, there is still lots of smaller fish to catch, quite a few crassios in here and smaller carp. But what I'm just going to start doing, just feeding 2 pellets at a time and then chucking into your feed. Just got a 4 gram of the new foam pellet wagglers on there. They cast wonderful. Just like that, straight into your feed. Make sure your pellet goes past your feed. And you want to keep it tight, so literally just before it lands, just stopping it, making sure your pellet lands as far as away past your float. Now, the thing with pellet waggler fishing, it's such a busy method. And to be honest, it did look like there was a few fish there, so I didn't really want to pick up my catapult because you always tempt fate, it always seems to go. Now, there's loads of lines there, just fed there to the right, but it's such a busy method, literally, because you're fishing quite a long lash. You never stay in the water too long. Your bites normally come within the first 10 seconds. So just chucking it and then stopping it just before it lands like that. Everything's tight. And just leave that catapult for a couple of seconds, because that's when your bite time is now. And then once you get to that, you're maximising your bite time. Oh, just missed a nice bite then. I was just about to say that was about as far as it could go. It's probably just settled. So instead of chucking straight in, I'm just going to feed, because I don't like to pick up my catapult. When it's on day like this, when it's hot, your bites do come straight away. So I don't like to feed once my float's in the water. You can see that wind just picking up there. Just chucking it, and then literally just before it lands, just literally almost feathering it, so everything lands tight. Just tighten up as much as you dare, so everything's tight. And you get that catapult ready, but once you feel like it's at that bottom, stop falling through the water, then feed. What did we get a bite then? Did then. There might be lots of crassio in the peg, which is why I'm missing bites, or the reason why I'm fishing a long lash, because they don't normally, and what I mean by lash is hook bait to the actual float. As you can see there, it's probably 3.5 foot. But if you start missing bites, there's either smaller fishing pegs so you want to shallow up. Sometimes they don't like to come near the splash of the float. So that's why you normally fish a long lash and you get bites straight away as that float's falling. As the bait's falling. That wind is starting to be a bit of a pain, really. I'm just going to try and feed there. And straight away, just going straight back in. It's such a busy method. Now, if we do miss another bite, definitely going to shallow up, because them carp, I see lots of carp bow waving about. Create that momentum. Oh, I even saw that one pull it out. Pulled the line tight, that one. So what we're going to do is just shallow up a bit. Missed a couple of bites now. That one definitely felt like it was more of a sharp bite. I don't know if you saw that. It was definitely different to the other bites. I'm just going to shallow up about 10 inches. See if that helps. It's all these little things that definitely gets you more bites. There you go. Probably only fishing probably a 2.5 foot lash there. Obviously the shallower you fish, obviously depending on the day and what depth fish sit out, you can obviously leave it longer. Not liking that, quite a few bites, and although I keep losing my baits, I feel like maybe it's just them smaller fish. definitely was a carp. But that time then, I just put a 6mm on. I was missing quite a few bites. It'll be interesting to see what this is. I'm pretty sure it'll be like either a small carp or a carasio. But when I hooked it, it definitely looked like a bigger fish. Now, pretty sure it is a bigger fish. And maybe then miss bite. Maybe, you know, when I do get the fish, maybe just have a look at the fish's mouth. See if the fish's mouth is quite, I guess you say small. You know, them big carp have big mouths, but maybe they don't, and that's why I'm missing quite a few bites. But I put 6mm on straight away. I've hooked a fish, and the bite didn't feel much different. And it is a bigger fish, so one fish doesn't explain everything, but we'll go back in and just try another 6mm, see if we can. Right by my feet this time. Lovely action in that rod. The rod's just an 11-foot waggler, the Horizon X. Could be £4. Right then, so just hooked what feels like a bit of a better fish. Now, in all honesty, it's been so annoying. There's been so many fish there, in so many signs. I know the small fish, but it's so hard to get through them. But these last couple of fish, by feeding 4 pellets twice, one it's over a tighter area, and like carp rise straight away and come straight into it, so you can chuck your bait straight over it. There's definitely a carp in your peg to catch, and it's definitely worked, but it's just too many. It just feels like it's too many small fish, and carp aren't settling in your feed. But it's definitely worked out what's best for today, but I just can't see it on a today. It's not been a winning method, but had this be another day, by doing that sort of thing, trying to get past them small fish, them carp could rock up. Now if I kept doing this for another hour or two, which I probably would in a match, either that or pole shallow, and it could come really good. You could do that every time, chuck it and get a bite every chuck. It does feel like a nice fish, this one. Like I said, just using the clutch and the back wind. Just if it does lunge quick and I can't make it, the clutch does the work for me. I'm hoping it's a nice one. I think it's actually foul hooked, but pretty sure it hooked itself. Proper bite as well, unless it's just wrapped round. It was foul hooked actually, which is annoying, but say you're fishing at such a shallow depth, it doesn't feel like it'd be possible that, but yeah, it's not been, but we'll keep doing that, and we shall try and end on a better fish. Right then, so that's the end of our little waggler session today. Now, granted, it's not been as good as we expected or hoped, but hopefully that shows you, just shows I've non-stop been changing the depths, the hook baits, the hooks themselves, the length of the depth you're fishing, or the lash that I keep talking about. Because there's always fish in your peg on such a venue like this, where on qualifiers or big matches there'd be a lot of anglers. Now I've carried on feeding that and I've not give up on it. It wasn't great at first, but I knew if I had the confidence, keep feeding it, it would come good eventually. And eventually we've had 3 or 4 carp towards the end there. We worked something out by pouching that bait, being confident. Now I feel like in a match situation, had I kept doing that, other anglers around me, if it wasn't as good for everyone else, just like it wasn't for me, other anglers would have stopped feeding and I'd have drawn them fish in. Once they'd stopped feeding, gone on something else. And because it was obviously, if it was today, if it was fishing a bit harder, they'd have gone on something else. They'd not been catching much. They wouldn't have carried on feeding that line. So if I carried on feeding, I'd be drawing fish in. So that's another tip I can give you. It's just not giving up on a line, constantly changing, constantly feeding, having the confidence that something will come good. You've got to give yourself that chance. And I feel like that's why you can almost nick them fish off them other anglers in these big events. Just having the confidence, not being lazy, being busy on such a good method, and it will come good. So hopefully, that showed you a little insight and a few tips and tricks what I do waggler fishing. Now we're going to go in the edge and hopefully snarl some great big things, and even a koi hopefully. Right then, so I guess you could say it's the best time of the day to now. It's edge fishing time. So the reason why I think edges are so good late on, I mean obviously you can sometimes nick a few fish early before you go long because they tend to stay in the banks and then they back off. You know, when you put nets in disturbance, put your box on the platform, then fish back away. And during the match times, them early first 3 hours I should say of a 5-hour match, then fish back off, you catch them short, then they back off even more and you've got to chase them out. But the most important thing, probably them first 3 hours, trying to tick over, trying to get as much fish in your net you can. On these big carp venues, we all know they rock up late on. Now they can rock up on anything, but I guess the number one thing that everyone goes to for catching big weights of carp late on these last 2 hours is going in your edge. Now, it's won me a fair few matches this year on these exact tactics. We're going to be fishing ground bait and maggots. Now, it's a little bit shallower than what I've been fishing recently, but I'm going to do a few things different. I'm going to talk you through it and why it's so good. Now we've only got about 20 inches. Just going to fish down, we've plumbed up both sides, actually the same depth, so it's really nice. And it's just such a deadly tack. You catch big fish and can build a big weight. So just a couple of minutes ago we fed a big pot, just a small big pot, 125mm ground bait. And we're just going to go straight over it now. I'm just going to feed again. And we'll talk you through it as we go along now. Just going to fish bunch of dead maggots on the hook. We're just feeding ground bait. It's actually the match method mix marine. Hopefully, we did see a few signs as soon as I fed, but we've not seen a sign now. Just going to lay that bait. It's actually fish there straight away, I think. Slow, literally pot your bait straight over it. Just fishing a bulk. Get that rig out the way and pin it tight. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Fish there straight away there. Maybe a small fish. It's the only thing with edge fishing. When you first start and you're fishing baits like maggots, just like earlier, there's lots of small fish in here, we know that. Now, I think there's a small fish. Yeah, definitely small fish there, but we might have to up the volume of bait we feed, go straight in over a big pot, which is what's been working for me recently. I actually managed to qualify for the Golden Reel final, fishing these exact tactics. Now already I'm thinking a small fish straight away there, look. So what we're going to do, just to try and draw a big carp in, and straight away, because it's that time of day and I'm confident carp are going to come in, literally just going to go feed a big pot, go straight in over it. Because I feel like we've missed that window, we fed it, we saw a sign, we've gone back in, there's not been a carp there. So just feed it neat. Pot your bait, make sure everything, don't rush anything. Make sure everything goes in nice and neat, you don't want to be spraying bait everywhere. Just pick that rig back up. Get some maggots, hook some maggots up. I always hook the maggots through the thin end, just gives more hook showing where possible. Quite literally as many maggots as you can fit on. 10, 12, anything like that. So went in, fed that little bit of bait over, left it probably 3 or 4 minutes after a big pot, and it wasn't quite right. Didn't draw a fish in, those small fish there straight away. Now straight away there was a carp in the peg. So that was definitely right for that big pot. It's still there now. The rig's not even settling, look. So it definitely shows that you've got to feed that big volume of bait. Just wait for that float to settle. Try and pin it back over that ground bait. But you don't want to be lifting your rig once it's jumping about all over the place like that. There you go, you see. Straight away, proper whack. As you could see on that GoPro we've got, it's absolute carnage on your hook 'em. And it's that time of day where you just catch big fish. I absolutely love it. It's just awesome. It's never, yeah, the fish might rock up, but there's lots of things you can do. Like straight away there, I went in and I knew it wasn't right. Changing straight away. Strong gear as well, Don't be mucking about. Get these big fish under control. Is he coming? Oh. Big fat thing, look. Big belly on him. They're the fish you want to be catching late on. Big fat thing, probably 6-7 pound. Top lip, absolute beautiful fish. Slip that one in the net. I'm just going to repeat that process. Just shows how quick they respond. Literally, just push it in. It's still loose. Pole's just gone for a walk. Straight in. Feed that bait. So what I'm quickly going to do, don't move. Just quickly take the back off. Because I'm fishing a short kit, quite confident that I'm not going to need a long landing net. Just makes that a bit more quick and efficient. Now, tackle wise, I'm just going to take that off quick. Pretty sure we're not going to need it. But tackle wise, like I said, super strong gear, but balanced again. I'm fishing my absolute favourite tail up there. See if we can try and catch him straight away. Pin it straight back. Tail facing the wrong way there. Literally absolute carnage there. You actually saw his tail turn for that. That was brilliant. Love to see that one on camera. You just see its tail turn the opposite direction. Float just goes whack. But as I was saying, tackle wise, strong but balanced. 18 to 20 slick for a short kit. But as you can see, it just gets them under control. 1 or 2 pulls and, get these big fish in no time. Poor netting skills there. Net wasn't quite ready. Big fish, and you can see the weight you can build. I mean, I was lucky enough to actually, it was this good at times in a few of the big matches that I've had recently. Another great match was the UK champs. They rocked up and, I only had like 50 minutes of the match left and they rocked up. And if you're not fishing strong enough gear that can get them in real quick, you really do waste a bit of time. Hook wise, fishing a size 12, 0.23 down to 0.20. Really do. I should have had that in straight away really, but you don't want to rush them, you let the gear do the work. I always like to keep it low and just wait for that. Because I'm fishing in a shallow water, I can just wait for my Dacron, pop up, and that's when I know it's close. Because if you just hold it above the reds, they just don't like to get their heads up, whereas this it can ploddle in on an angle. And then as soon as I see my Dacron, nearly there, like then, ooh, it's a fighter. You don't want to go now. But the good thing about having that sort of depth down the edge, there's not a tail up now, there's not bait congregating. You're almost like setting a trap, a big trap, but you're setting a trap every time. I was saying that you can get them in quite quick, but they're running me about a bit. But when they're that big, you really don't mind. But like I said, always keep it on that angle, wait for the Dacron. Like that. You don't want to come up though. They're the ones you want. Lovely fish, probably £9 that one. Proper bite from that one. Straight on that there. Absolute joke, but sometimes it can get messy when they're like that. But went in last time, there was a tail up and you didn't feel like it would turn for it, and it turned literally almost straight away. Straight away there, signs, straight over that bait. Now, float just never settles. Ooh. Yeah, so rig wise, just fishing a little muddy style float in a 0.5 of the Matrix range. I think they're small fish there, definitely. Something not quite right with my float there. Maybe that fish just moved it. But yeah, fishing a 0.5 muddy. Just like I talked about earlier, that strong gear. So you want something that won't let you down. There's loads of small fish there, I don't know why. See my floats. I thought Rick just might have moved that then, but it hasn't. It's definitely right. Definitely a tail there. Try and get it straight down, because you're fishing that bulk. You want to fish straight down on your bait. Tail in the edge and you catch a perch. Absolutely mental. Tail, what I'm just going to do, try and set a little trap, but I don't want to feed a big pot again and reduce my chance of getting a bite. Just going to go in with a little cad pot. Just feel like that bait's been disturbed a little bit. I've left it a little while. Keep that rig out of the way for now. Set that trap. So I get straight down, straight over it. It's mad how small fish are there. And you can quite literally see carp swirling just past it. Probably are small fish, but you definitely don't want to take a chance, you know. Something's going to be £10 or plus. It's mad. But again, I might just have to come back, feed a big pot, concentrate on bigger fish. Definitely the odd one about. I don't want loads of fish coming in. I just don't want to foul hook them. Small fish everywhere there. Absolutely crazy. Now it's just gone quiet, I can just get it going whack. It's a small fish there again. It's absolutely mental there. Right then, so we had them two quick fish, feeding ground bait and fishing maggots, and it was good. It felt like it was just going to be solid. And then from then on, we've just had oh, you would not believe it. It's just small fish every single chuck, quite literally. Just couldn't get past it. Wouldn't even get to the bottom in 18 inch. Just would not get to the bottom. This fish is sending me everywhere. Just couldn't quite get it to the bottom, just too many small fish now. Just picked up another rig. And well, This fish is having a field day. But just picked up my rig and just fishing hard pellets now. I fight like mad in it. I'm just going to have to step it up after this. But as you can see, changed to hard pellets and got one straight away, so it might be the way. Right then, so as you've just seen, we started down the edge on ground, but we had 2 quick fish. It was really good. But after that, I just couldn't get through the small fish. I've never known anything like it. It's really weird. I've had loads of ground bait. No matter how much ground bait you feed, you've got carp coming in. The carp obviously love it. That's not the problem. The problem was the small fish. No matter what you fished, or it didn't seem what the fish, you just couldn't get through them. Your float was just non-stop moving. You couldn't just sit a bait over your ground bait. Ground bait was going everywhere. And when a carp did come in, it was either spooked by all the small fish. It weren't settling. So I just stuck an 8mm pellet on, went straight over it, and it sat there. You were getting loads of little signs, and eventually it just went whack, and I had a big carp. So what I'm going to do, at that edge, like I said, got the same depth. I've just gone down there now. I'm just going to feed 6 more pellets and fishing 8 on the hook. I might even change it just to 8s, and when I do hook one, I might just throw just like that short line, but fishing it. I'm just going to feed a little bit down the shelf, which I'll show you, because I don't want fish coming. Because where I'm plumbing, it's like it drops off to 18-inch. It's not like a mud line, as you'd say, where it looks like it is. You've got to fish like a foot off the bank, where it just starts like drops straight off to 18-inch and then gradually goes down. So I'm just going to feed a little bit to me right, a bit deeper into the water, and then just fish in the shallowest water that I can fish. Just going to feed 8-10 pellets, 6mm, fishing 8 on the hook. Now it's actually a really negative way of fishing, but it just seems that there's that many small fish this side of the lake for whatever reason. Just going to tap some pellets in over an area there. I'm just going to pull my rig tight, just there. For whatever reason, it just seems right. I just didn't feel like it would draw enough fish in. But I know pellets, at least you get a proper bite. And by it looks like it there, just fish there straight away. And I've quite literally only just thrown a couple of pellets. Just carp there straight away there. The only problem with it, because you're feeding particles, you can sometimes feed too much. And it can get a bit messy like that there. Try and hold my rig tight. I just don't want them coming up that slope, which I can't fish, which they could do. I don't want to strike. I want to make sure it's a bite, and that's really important as well. And even if small fish do, for some reason, come in, you're going to struggle to hook them on an 8mm, which is why it's good, it's selective. Now, straight away I'm thinking, even if this does come okay, I don't feel like it's going to be awesome, because you're feeding particles over an area. I just feel like it could get a little bit messy. Match conditions, I'd have probably fed micros, set a trap and just fishing 8. Or what I'm thinking would be best is set up like a top kit line, maybe a top kit and half a section, fishing like 2.5 foot, and just throw 8mm. Just looks right, can't be more confident there. And that's the sort of depth you can get away with feeding hard pellets. So we've just got a swirl there, so definitely a carp in the peg now. But all the time I'm thinking, have I waited too long for a fish to come directly over my feed? Are they not being as confident as they would be feeding a larger volume of bait, i.e. ground bait, micros? But that one there is just like, I had a little line, and then a proper bite. So I feel like they stay in the peg. Once they're in the peg, they feed quite confidently. And I've probably only waited 5 minutes. And if it's £5-6 every 5 minutes, it's not bad at all. But I'm constantly thinking, I could have caught better elsewhere. That one's got a wonky tail, look. But yes, we'll keep trying that. And hopefully it keeps getting better, and we'll check in with you in 10-15 minutes time, or if we get a run of fish. So that's a lovely one to end on. So, conclusion wise, what I'm thinking, I'll just speak to you, what I'm thinking was, went down that edge, we had a two or three quick fish on ground bait and maggots. Now, as you saw, it was just absolutely rammed full of small fish. For whatever reason, I've never known it like that. I mean, I don't know the venue well, but I never knew there was that amount of small fish in there. But we adapted to it. We went straight in on hard pellets, had a really quick bite, and after that, you just felt like you were going to get a bite, but it felt like it just wasn't right. So I've just gone down my left edge, and I've just fished hard pellets, and it's been good, to be honest. It's been a little bit slow, but you've gone in, and eventually you've had a bite every time. You've had 4 or 5 down there, and to be honest, you've probably built a lot quicker weight than you would have, even with 3 times as many fish in your edge. So I just feel like hard pellets, I was a little bit unsure at first because I felt like I should have set up something else, as in if I was in a match, definitely felt like I'd have possibly caught in more deeper water, just throwing hard pellets out my hand, throwing 8s, you know, catching them bigger fish and having more fish in your peg at one time. Now, as I look there now, that, you know, they're coming in properly. That last one I threw baits and I had a quicker bite, so I definitely feel like throwing bait, I got away with that. I could throw bait, draw more fish in. Because I'm fishing maybe a standout bait to them, I don't feel like it's a big standout, but fishing an 8/6s, I felt like it was right. And I felt like if that carried on, I feel like it could be really good. So, although that wasn't the video we were probably planning on doing, it actually turned out to be really good, and hopefully you can learn a bit off that. Don't always stick to your guns, be happy to change. I was constantly changing depth, and eventually I've had a little good run of fish, and if I'd have carried that on, I'd probably had a big weight. So I'm actually really happy with that. A little bit unusual, but hard pellets. Now, rig-wise, because we're only fishing 18-inch, it's the same. I've just got a little muddy, 0.5 gram muddy. It's actually the, the mud line from Matrix. It's got a bulk of 7 number 8s and a 4-inch hook length of 020, fishing 023 mainline. Strong gear, robust but balanced as well. 18 to 20 slick for a short kit, and as you can see, it does get them under control a bit. Especially them big fish, they just waddle in, like that last one. Them smaller ones fight a little bit harder, but hopefully that can give you a few tips and tricks, and I might have one more go. Right then, so we've come to the end of the session now. We've had a really nice day. Hopefully you've learned a bit more about me and my sort of fishing, how I've got into fishing and why I feel like I'd like to say competing against the highest level at this moment. My attitude towards it, and you know, giving that hindsight of not giving up, constantly changing rigs and lines and feeding, and just being so eager and dedicated, you know, get your prep done, all that sort of attitude. That's how you can compete against these big boys, as you call it, like our very own Jamie Hughes, Callum Dix, just to name a few. And I feel like with that attitude and going on these matches and, you know, coming out, whether it's pleasure session or matches or going to venues, getting a look before big matches, that sort of attitude, just having that sort of prep and idea about not giving up and constantly changing. If something's not wrong, don't just stop feeding it and give someone else an advantage, just like we're on about that Waggler line. Granted, it's not been a great day fishing-wise, we're not bagged up on everything, but every line we've had to work out. We started short, was a great start, gone shallow on the Waggler. It's been okay, worked a few things out, caught fish on that, come down the edges was wrong, we've changed and we've started catching fish. So everything hasn't gone to plan. If I'd have had that attitude of, oh, that's not working, we'll go somewhere else, and then I've like, it's taken a while for that to get, eventually just losing time. So constantly changing and trying to work things out, I feel like such a big idea, and such a good idea in the fact that as long as you're dedicated, you know, you've got to travel all these miles to fish these big competitions. I've done tremendous amount of miles this year already. But if you're going to put that effort in, you might as well put it into the effort on the bank, and having a good attitude, I feel like, is really important. So that's a bit of a roundup of our day. It's been my first video for the Matrix cameras, and I've had a really good day. Now, if you want to see anything more, any other venues or questions, or if you want to ask any questions about anything, just drop them below or send me a message. And if you've got any ideas for a next video, hopefully we can do that in the next video. And thank you very much for watching, guys.